I wanted to give a little 6-month update. If you've listened to the first episode of this podcast, you know that I started this podcast as a way to prevent myself from going back to smoking. I have experienced such high levels of stress since the election last November, actually earlier, let's just be honest. I've experienced such high levels of stress since winter 2023 that I have been fighting to not go back to my dangerous coping mechanisms, such as smoking. I promised myself that I would record an episode of this podcast every time I started to get too itchy and too craving when it came to nicotine. And I also promised myself these episodes would be short, so they could be listened to on a smoke break, or someone can replace a smoke break with one of these episodes. It seems like I'm upholding that mission pretty well. I'm pretty proud of myself, and I have not returned to smoking, so that's pretty cool. But I have gained some other bad habits. I'm currently a really bad coffee addict. It's funny because when I started working at Starbucks at the age of 20, I hated coffee, and I got a little bit of a liking for a little shot of espresso now again while working at Starbucks, but I only worked at Starbucks for about 9 months, I want to say. And so, I didn't get an addiction then. Post COVID, I would probably get myself a coffee occasionally, maybe once a month, twice a month if I was feeling it. I would regularly get it, with a nice meal if they had a good dessert coffee. But I'm not eating nice meals a lot, you know what I mean? It's not like they have a good dessert coffee at Olive Garden. So, I wasn't falling into addiction too badly. And then I go back to college. I'm probably getting coffee easily once a week at this point, which amps up to about 2 times a week, which amps up to about 3 times a week. Every time I'm on campus, I swing by a coffee shop. It gets a little dangerous, right? And then my husband gets laid off at the beginning of 2024. His entire department just gets dissolved at the workplace he works at, right? So he's laid off, and I get to not only go to campus 3 times a week, but then I also get to hang out with my beautiful husband every single day. He doesn't go to work while he was job hunting, you know what I mean? So we just got to hang out, which means we would always go to a coffee shop or a cafe to hang out. And then I started to get coffee a lot, and now I would say as of this year, I am a daily coffee drinker, and I know that's not good for me. I'm sure that's good for other people, and there are actually scientific studies showing that like a pure coffee, a black coffee, can be really good for you every single day. But that's not what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a mocha latte with a pump of vanilla and extra foam. That's like so much milk and so much sugar every single day. The espresso is secondary, and then imagine I'm getting like 2 of these a day. That's a lot of sugar. That's a lot of stuff that my body should not be having. That's a lot of stuff that flares up my endometriosis. That's a lot of stuff that makes my brain hurt. It's this like 2-1 punch kind of situation where caffeine is really good for my narcolepsy, in the sense that it helps me manage and maintain it, in a way that allows me to get through the day. I do need coffee on days when I drive down to my campus, because it's about an hour commute-ish to my campus every time I go, and then I'm there for easily 7 to 8 hours. I need a coffee or I won't be able to drive that hour back, just with how my narcolepsy works. That being said, I'm having it every day, multiple times a day. Like it's entering the danger zone. And I know there are healthier forms of caffeine than espresso with chocolate. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out solutions to that. But I haven't started smoking again. And it's the little wins. It's the little wins. I did promise myself, though, if we make it 1 year into this administration and no positive progress has been tangibly made in a way that is yeah, I said tangibly made, I guess, in a way that is tangible, then I will really, 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 really need some convincing not to go back to smoking. Maybe this podcast will continue to be that convincing. We'll see.